When it comes to marketing itself, Las Vegas has to be one of the best in the world. But recently it was revealed that our publicly funded Convention and Visitors Authority, the LVCVA, has been spending a ton of dough on hundreds of influencers, presumably to help our city seem appealing to the minions of TikTok and YouTube and all the other social media platforms. Today on CityCast Las Vegas, executive producer Sonia Cho Swanson and I sit down with local influencer Phil Zhang, aka Las Vegas Phil, to talk about how influencers can move the needle on getting folks to Las Vegas, if the LVCVA is getting bang for its buck, and why there's so much secrecy in how it all comes together. It's Monday, August 5th. I'm David Figler, and here's what Las Vegas is talking about. Now, I know about me and Sonia, but Phil, right off the bat, are you now or have you ever been paid by the LVCVA to say nice things about Las Vegas?
Oh my God, spicy, David.
Oh yeah, and I gotta ask right away.
Sure. First of all, thanks for having me back. It's great to see both of you again. But I have not worked with LVCVA, and honestly, LVCVA doesn't really work with many local Las Vegas creators. Versus the amazing amount of influencers that they've brought in from other cities.
Interesting.
So I really believe in their mind, if I were a social media marketing or salesperson, LVCVA, I mean, we're already doing the work anyway. So why do we need to get paid when we're already doing it?
Yeah, I mean, in a lot of ways, just talking about all the wonderful food in our community is promoting our community. Phil, do you wish you were being paid by LVCVA to do what I guess you're already doing?
Well, of course. I mean, more money is always great, but and the budgets that they have are pretty astounding, I must say. But,
yeah, they could afford to throw a few pennies your way.
But my focus would never be on the local market. It's really all about big time accounts based in other major cities. And I think it's a very incomplete story with what has come out. All it says is influencers and $2.23 million spent. But what you don't realize, or what hasn't come out, is the actual roster of influencers that they have procured is really just like a dream lineup of people to come to Vegas.
Well, I want to get to that list, Phil, but, Sonia, let's get into the numbers that Phil just mentioned. I mean, they're pretty big. What do we know about how much the LVCVA has been spending on social media marketing?
So the Las Vegas Review-Journal just came out with an article describing these payments made by the LVCVA to a number of influencers. We know that the LVCVA gets about $350 million of its annual budget from room taxes. According to the Review-Journal, the LVCVA spent $160 million with this social media advertising firm called Gray Global. And then Gray went and subcontracted with an agency called, I'm not sure how to pronounce this, Icone, however that's pronounced. That agency seems to represent, or at least they found, around 260 influencers to come and spread the gospel about Las Vegas and really preach the good news about how amazing our city is. And those influencers seem to have cost about $2.2 million.
Plus comps.
Right. So, I mean, out of $160 million for social media, $2.2 million for influencers seems to be the basic breakdown.
Yeah. Now, Phil, you mentioned this was a dream team. I mean, the process of selecting which influencers is a bit of a mystery, though we do have those names. So what were the surprises to you, or like the wow moments?
Well, none of this is surprising to me. I think it's just surprising to everyone else. I mean, a bunch of cities with tourism sponsorships. I mean, I've been paid to go to California to do a 3-day stay, and I got paid 5 figures for that as well. So if this averages out to only $8,458.84 per influencer, they got a steal, because we're talking about millions and millions of followers. And you think about how much it costs to produce a commercial, a national campaign, and like a well-produced commercial. For $8,500, they basically made 264 versions of that. in a concentrated market where people don't really think about Las Vegas as much as we do because we're in it. And I think they got a great deal because, not only did they procure all these amazing influencers, these ideally wouldn't be one-off type relationships and campaigns. If they had a great time here and were treated well, that 1 million follower account in 2-3 years will probably have 3 million. And it's really just a great relationship starter.
Can I ask a question? I'm actually curious a little bit behind the scenes. Phil, how long does it take or how much work does it take to produce a TikTok video? I guess it can really depend, but what's your take on that?
Okay, so based on an average influencer's schedule when shooting for LVCVA, I would say putting together a video like that would probably, for me, probably take about an hour and a half because you got to hit all the stops.
Some of these might have been one-off, so they might have gotten potentially, because again, we don't know, like $50,000 to do an hour and a half of work.
Well, no, they're shooting all day. So the schedule is they hit up a bunch of places and they got to sum up kind of what they're doing. LVCVA then has to approve the post before they put it out. And if they need to add something or do something else, then they got to work that out. But I would say it'd be a 48-hour shoot, basically. They got to show everything they do from the room to the restaurants to the nightclub to whatever special stuff they've done. And then, whittle it down to about 30 seconds, 60 seconds.
So potentially still a pretty good day's work, but, if you're creative, you should get paid.
David, I have to say, though, do you remember that apocryphal Picasso story where he, dashes off a little sketch on a napkin and charges this lady thousands of dollars? And she's like, but Picasso, you took 30 seconds on this sketch. And he's like, no, I took 30 years on this sketch. So let's acknowledge the artistry and the talent that went into building up maybe their audiences as well.
Is there a Picasso of influencers on that list that you saw, Phil? Who would be the biggest influencer that you can't believe they even got to do it?
I'm not surprised that anybody isn't on that list. It's a pretty good, well-rounded roster of people that covers a lot of different kinds of audiences, but all, youth-oriented, definitely under 30, maybe under 20.
Well, you know who was on the list that was not under 30? The Old Gays. Have you guys seen their videos? I love them. They're so funny. They're so sweet. The Old Gays are amazing.
Well, the LVCVA in response to maybe some criticism on this, or at least the reporting, said, look, the Tourism Authority contends its influencer program, quote unquote, and this is from the RJ, has delivered a substantial amount of coverage highlighting all aspects of the destination and reaching new audiences. That's what you're saying, Phil. Is that really a fair way to look at it? And I guess the follow-up to that is, how do we know that the return on investment is actually coming from this marketing money?
I absolutely agree that the LVCVA has done an amazing job, and they've really set up a really wonderful social media team to kind of vet all the influencers and, their stats, their audience, to really sell Vegas as best as they can. Because, the time where a TV commercial will air and millions of people will see it is way gone, out the window, especially with this age group. So where are they going to go? They're going to go to their phone because they're on their phone all the time. And so it's basically a customized commercial to that demographic in that specific area where they live.
Well, here's my issue, and you said the magic word, vet. I don't know that they're vetting the best influencers for the money that they're spending. I don't know the process. LVCVA is being totally secretive about it so far.
The only thing they're being secretive is the actual price that people got paid.
I don't know that they're putting out how they picked who they picked and who maybe should have been considered that wasn't. And we just don't know anything about this process. Look, this is public funds that they're spending here. Shouldn't, Phil, we know as the public that they're doing their best work and what that process is? All other government services have that transparency.
If you go to the @Vegas account, you can see all the collabs that they've done with all the creators for the past 2 years. It's all right there for everyone to see.
Well, I get it, but there's not 264 on there. And again, I'm wondering, I get it. If you have 10 billion followers, you're probably good to go. But like, what else are they vetting for? Like, are they vetting for, have they put out controversial stuff that might not be in the best interest of Vegas? Is there people on the list who only have 5,000 followers, and how did they get on the list? I just wonder where that analysis can occur, or should it even occur?
It should absolutely occur. Any skilled social media manager, even with my clients on a much smaller level when I represent restaurants, I'm vetting all this stuff before they even come in as well. So I am very confident LVCVA has an excellent program where they've kind of gone through at least the last 25 to 50 posts, if not more, for each of these people to choose who comes in. And yeah, I don't think there's any 5,000 follower accounts that are paid by LVCVA to do stuff unless it's extraordinary, skillful video work that no one else can do.
So it's pretty much trust us, we're the government. You don't have to look too close.
I mean, they've had over $100 million budget for at least 10 years. I mean, why is $2.23 million, which would be less than a cost of a Super Bowl ad, to 264 markets be such a big deal? I just don't understand why it's a big deal.
I think one of the biggest hesitations that people have with influencer marketing, and this is back to David's point about are the taxpayers getting a bang for their buck, is that we just don't know. Like, we can see how many impressions these videos are getting, but we have no way of measuring how many people who've seen a video actually end up coming to Vegas, right? It's such a ambiguous ROI measurement, return on investment measurement, right? Like, how do you justify that to your clients, Phil, when you're talking about hey, I've got this following, but how do they know how many of those people are going to actually go to that restaurant?
I mean, I wouldn't have a job if people didn't go in the restaurant after I posted. I mean, it's been 7-8 years of this.
Uh-huh.
So, and I think you're asking a general advertising question, like how much is a newspaper ad? What's the ROI on that? What's the ROI on a TV commercial? I can't see the numbers on a TV commercial. I can't see the numbers on a newspaper ad. But what you can see are the millions and billions of views that these videos have collectively had, that LVCVA then pushes and boosts these posts as commercials, throughout YouTube, Google Ads, Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. So not only is it just the reach, but it's also the marketing tool, because it would cost LVCVA a lot more to produce these types of commercials and have this person come in and they shoot this personality instead of the personality just putting it all together themselves.
So you're basically saying influencers are just a new form of marketing, just like TV ads, just like radio ads, just like print ads. We have a new form of marketing in influencers.
Yeah, I would say it's the most important marketing at this time. And it's just the beginning.
Now, what are influencers' ethical standards of disclosure that Las Vegas is paying them to put out Las Vegas forward or friendly content?
I was going to say, it does seem like they actually put hashtag sponsored or ads on their posts, right, Phil?
Yes, correct.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought there was some controversy that not all of them do that.
Not all of them do that. But for big time brand sponsorships like Vegas, like a chain restaurant, things like that, I mean, they have to do that for that. If it's a local mom and pop just slipping them, a couple $100 to do a post, that's normally not labeled, a lot of times not labeled as sponsorship or an ad.
Have you gone through some of the videos, Phil, of the people on the list for LVCVA and seen that hashtag or that branding notification?
Yes.
Oh, interesting. I mean, the world of influencer marketing is kind of a new field. Is there an actual code of ethics or an industry-wide standard like journalists have?
Unfortunately not. It's very, very wild, wild west. If even the rates are wild, wild west, you could do the same service for one place and another, and it could be a wildly different rate that you give. Yeah. It's never, ever uniform.
I think it's super interesting just because journalists do have some pretty strict standards, but those can also vary too. So essentially what you want to do is you have a contract with your audience as a journalist. You have a contract of trust. It also depends on the publication. I know some publications won't let journalists take free press trips. For example, if I look at the SPJ, the Society of Professional Journalists ethical standards, they don't let you take free stuff. They feel that by taking free things that unduly influences your reporting and also kind of besmirches the field. Whereas the SATW, the Society of American Travel Writers, says, hey, you know what? Press trips, if you're getting a free trip, that's a go. That's okay. As long as you don't misrepresent your assignment or your work that you're doing to the people who are sponsoring the trip. And I think there's an argument to be made that if you only allow people to cover trips that they can afford out of pocket, then you're limiting the creators to a certain wealthy demographic. So sponsorships kind of help a wider range of folks from different classes and backgrounds to be able to be creators.
Here's a question. Why are journalists and influencers even lumped into the same category?
That's a great question.
It doesn't make any sense to me because they're not making an article that's a video, it's a commercial.
Well, and this is kind of what's interesting to me is that, influencers become influencers, I presume, because people trust their opinion. They trust their palate, right? I mean, if Las Vegas Phil says, this tastes good, I think one of your fans are like, wow, he really likes it and I trust his palate, so I will try that. I mean, that's the whole idea of influence.
That's the plan, yes.
Right. But, if you're getting paid by Las Vegas, so you're getting these influencers out there who are saying, man, I went to Las Vegas and everything was perfect and it was great and you should too. I had the best time I've ever had in my entire life. And it turns out to not be true. Is that kind of like a breakdown of the relationship between influencer and influencee?
Well, first of all, we're not talking about Madison, Wisconsin, okay? You can have an amazing vacation in Vegas every time.
Well, yes. No, you're right. That's fair. That is
like
fair.
If I did a video in Madison, Wisconsin,
I mean, I love our town.
Well, if you lost a lot of money, probably.
Yeah.
But LVCV does a great job curating and kind of understanding where the influence is coming from and what their interests are, and kind of, set up a really fun itinerary to make sure that they do have the best time ever. I mean, a lot of times they have a rep with them or on call at all times, and so it would be hard for me to understand how an influencer on an LVCVA paid sponsorship would have a terrible time.
Of course. But, back to your question, Phil, about why are influencers and journalists getting lumped in the same category? There are definitely differences, but I think one key similarity is that there's an audience, and there, as David mentioned, there's a relationship of trust between a creator and an audience. So I think you kind of have to establish the standards. It has to be like a mutually agreed upon understanding, and that's why I feel like marking something as a paid post or marking something as an ad, just clearly defining that's crucial to me.
Yeah. Okay, I got it, and I think a lot of people absolutely agree with that as well.
Yeah.
Well, let me try one more time, Phil.
Sure.
Do you have any favorites on the list, like people who you were really happy to see or who you respect, or any criteria? Who are the good names on the list that we should be happy that LVCVA got?
I mean, you should be happy you got any of them, to be honest.
Oh, you're not. Why?
Right,
Why no names, Phil? I don't know who any of these people are. You're my influencer now, man. You influence me who I should be excited about being on that list.
Okay, couple of great accounts would be like Nom Life, who is an amazing New York City account. It's an Asian couple that focuses on a lot of Asian cuisine, and they did a really great rundown with Mott 32, Momofuku, and one other place I can't remember.
Ooh, nice.
To me, that is a curated, they saw their amazing work and thought this would be great. And they had a blast, clearly, checking out these places as well. Another one is the Naughty Fork, based out of Miami. She's got 2.2 million on IG and way more at the other platforms. And so to procure someone like her to come in, her rate is astronomical, as it is anyway. But to really establish that relationship, so in the future, if she had a great time, maybe she will come back at a lower rate because it was Vegas and because she had an amazing time, when she has 5 million followers in 2 or 3 years.
See, David, these are the Picassos of the influencer world,
I need to know. That's what we have Phil on.
But Jason Derulo being number one, definitely not.
Course.
I am not the demographic Jason Derulo. But I mean, let's give him credit where credit's due. I mean, 15 months, he was was known as a musician and a singer, but completely changed into a TikTok internet personality in just a matter of a couple of years. And to have 59 million followers and to be an ambassador for Vegas to his audience, I think is super cool.
Has Jason Derulo had any famous falls on video in Las Vegas yet? That's what I want to know.
I don't know. I don't think anyone's going to the Voltaire show.
Remember when he, never mind.
He
fell down.
Deep cut.
Sorry,
Deep cut, Sonia.
I'm too online. This is really sad. Please move on.
Well, Phil, I get where you're coming from, and it's really enlightening. There was one notable local influencer who seemed to be on the payroll, and I wondered what your take on that was. You know who I'm talking about?
Yes.
Who? I don't. Wait, who?
Okay. Jen, aka Vegas Starfish, is a very good friend of mine.
Oh,
I
okay.
respect the hell out of her. And honestly, I mean, who's doing better work than her on IG and TikTok to promote Las Vegas in general? To reach all those eyeballs that she does is astounding. And if any of the local creators are going to get paid, then Jen should be at the very top of the list.
I really like too that she gives her honest opinion. Like, she comes out swinging sometimes. She will not pull a punch if she does not like a place or she has criticisms.
Well, and that's the trust relationship, though, with the branded stuff. Who knows? I'm wondering, Phil, do you think that LVCVA, I mean, they've seemed to have a lot of mad money. Do you think that they should be rewarding local influencers like Vegas Starfish, like yourself, like others? And why do you think they might not be doing that?
Well, first of all, Jen and I are not in the same league. Okay, Jen is like a whole different level of superstar local Las Vegas influencer. I mean, she can sell bottled water and hundreds of people buy it the next day. But I do think there are a select number of creators that would be on my radar. But like I said, again, I'm going to these strip restaurants anyway. I'm posting anyway. In their mind, I'm going to do the work anyway, so I don't need to get paid for it from them.
Sonia, what do you think? Do you think that LVCVA should be spending some of its mad money on local folk to help get the word out about our city?
Not just local folk, but I think people who are willing to cover more off the strip parts of Vegas. More of our locally owned businesses, more of our mom and pop shops, more of our hidden gems. I'd like to see a little bit more of that, I think, being advertised through LVCVA.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see LVCVA spend money on local artists promoting kind of art areas in town and local climbers to talk about Red Rock and just really make Las Vegas a destination for all people and not just Strip City, right?
Hear, hear.
But then again, we're not the audience for this campaign. So
Yeah.
No, because we're already here. We're kind of stuck here. We're going to go to all the places because we got no choice.
that's what I'm saying. If I'm handling the budget for them, I wouldn't throw it to very many local influencers.
Well, what I'm thinking is,
but it'd be nice. Of course, it'd be nice. But
it would be nice, but also it would be able to celebrate to the world all the good things that aren't so obvious here in Las Vegas, which might draw more people to come to experience all of Las Vegas.
David, you need to become the next Vegas influencer under Las Vegas Phil's tutelage.
Yeah, well, I would definitely do an internship with Las Vegas Phil. There's no doubt about that. And he wouldn't even have to pay me. He would just have to give me some good food tips. So I'm here for you, man, if you need me.
Thank you.
Sonia Cho Swanson and Phil Zhang, thanks so much for joining us on CityCast Las Vegas.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
That's all for today here on CityCast Las Vegas. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell a friend? That's called influencing. You can also rate our show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our morning newsletter. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Till then, stay lucky. Greta von Thunberg.